let's talk marriage and money. So every household is ran different and everybody does what works for their family. But over the years of being married to my wife, we've been together 15 years, married for almost seven. This has worked for us for the better half of the past, I want to say 7 years, probably since we've been married actually. So my wife is responsible for fun, experiences, our family's health care, because I'm an entrepreneur. So for my family, for healthcare insurance costs about roughly $3,000 a month for a high deductible plan with like an $8,000 deductible, and through her company I think it's only like $450 to $500 a month, so that saves us a significant amount of money. And she also buys some of the groceries. I probably buy majority of the groceries, and she buys clothes and stuff like that for the kids. I do as well, but she more so handles that than me. And then I'm responsible for all of the bills in the home, all of our saving, all of our investing. And that works for us because honestly, the last thing my wife wants to do is look at stock charts all day, walk real estate deals, and figure out which high yield savings account makes the most sense for us. And the last thing I want to do is to plan a vacation, look tirelessly on Airbnb for the best house experience, and finding the cheapest flights to Orlando for 3 to 5 days. Like, that's just not my jam. I love vacation. I don't want to plan vacation whatsoever. And if I plan it, I'm probably going to pay too much for it. So it's best that she does it anyway.
Hey, shout out to the content creator. It's so interesting because it's my relationship kind of similar. The only thing is I'm not a full-time entrepreneur right now. I'm kind of what they call an entrepreneur, right? You're building something outside of your job while you work in your career. But yeah, absolutely, man. I think everybody got to play their position. I think everyone has to play their role. And, you just figure out, like he said, he's been with his wife for a minute. I think 15 years total. I think he said married for 7 or 8, something like that. And as you go through your marriage, you figure out who's best at what, right? Who's more comfortable at doing this or doing that. And that's the beautiful thing about marriage, man. When you single, you basically have to do everything yourself. You have to pay for everything yourself. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like a single parent, then it's just so much fall on your plate versus when you have a partner and you're married and y'all building together, you can kind of balance the ship a little bit more as far as when it comes to responsibility. So just in particular with my marriage, again, it's kind of similar, right? We split a lot of the bills, but I would say I would do more the heavy lifting of the bills. She would say she paid more bills, but I think I paid more as far as in dollar amount. We had to probably recap that. But when it comes to like vacation, I would say she probably take on like an 80% role, right? I think more the planning, but then the execution would come more on my end. Cause listen, my wife is very, very particular when it comes to these hotels. And I don't blame her. She definitely got me around. She's brought me around to her side when it comes to hotel. Cause for me, I'm like, when I'm on vacation, I want to be comfortable, right? But I don't need luxury hotels. That's my mind state. It don't have to be luxury because in my eyes, we're not really there all day. We're out. It's more for the comfortability of sleep. Now, I don't want to live in not live, but I don't want to stay in a place where the bed's not comfortable, rats and roads. I'm not saying that. But, it's just trying to find a happy medium where you're not overpaying just to have a nicer bed. You know what I mean? And it's like you can get the same views and all that. So it's just finding that. But when it comes to what he said, the marriage and figuring out roles and who does what, again, that comes with time, especially when kids get involved. It's even more important that you guys are dialed in together on who's doing what, because it's easy when it's just, well, let me replace that easy word. It's simple when it's just you and one other person, right? You and your wife or your wife and husband, whatever. It's just very simple. But then when kids, get involved, then it becomes complex, because then it's like you two having to worry about 2 other people versus worry about each other. And then, it's 2 grown adults. When it's just y'all two, y'all at least have some common sense. Kids, they don't know the world, right? You have to think for them, when it's just y'all two, y'all think for each other. You can say, hey, let's do this, do that. Both parties can go execute. With a child, you can't ask them to do a lot. You know what I mean? They don't know the world. They don't know what's going on. They looking for you to lead them for a long time. So that's when it becomes complex, right? And it definitely gets really, really hard. But again, when it's just y'all two, it's simple, but it's not easy, but it's still hard then. But I mean, like I said, shout out that this is what it's supposed to look like. You know what I mean? In the sense of, a partnership marriage. Now, are there different marriages? I've been talking about this my whole time. The super old traditional marriage, when it's just the woman at home, she's a homemaker, the man just works. Again, I don't even really like to talk about that no more because truth be told, it's one of them situations like that's really going away. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but for the average relationship now, you don't have those relationships on average where it's just a man working and a woman just get to stay at home. It's just not what's going on out here, you know? So now most people have to combine their incomes to build a life together. That's just what it is. And so I think the dynamics on how men approach the relationships have definitely shifted if they even want it. You know what I mean? Because in a man's eyes, and I would agree, man. I still would agree. I feel like we actually give way more to the relationship than the woman would bring. Right. And maybe I'll do a separate video on just me really breaking that down. And again, whenever I say things like this isn't to like bash women or something like that. But again, I'll give a quick snapshot. When you guys are married, let's say you don't have kids. Let's say you don't have kids, right? You married. It's just a husband and wife. What's something that the husband can do? I'm sorry, what's something that the wife can do for the husband that he can't do for himself? Besides have kids and have somebody there to take care of him. He can hire a maid. He can cook his own food. He can order food from DoorDash. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, when you start to break down the checklist, a man really can support himself. So when he brings a woman into it, and again, I'm not going to create a full list, but I just want to create a snapshot. It's like the only thing he really can't do again is have a kid and have somebody to nurture. Because naturally, we're not nurturers. Naturally, right? We don't have that essence. Can we love? Yes, but the woman has a different touch to it. You follow me? They have a different connection to that child when you have it. So it's like it depends on if you want to build a future. If you want a family, yes, I personally believe you need a wife who's gonna be there for you and stuff like that. But if you like, hey, I just want to be single all my life, you don't need a woman. That's the truth of the matter for me. But if you do have it, I think that the way that bro broke it down, how they split up stuff, that's what a real partnership is. Again, back in the day, the man just, the woman at home doing kind of everything around the house, cooking, cleaning, because, she needs a role to do as well if she's not working. So, but nowadays that's not the case. Women got their own careers and stuff. So it just now as society, through all the conversations through men and women, right, where we currently stand now in the climate of things, we just have to do a better job on redefining roles when it comes to the new age of modern dating and modern relationships, right? I think that we still can learn from the traditional roles, some things maybe we can bring to where we are now in the modern dating day. I still, and again, let me say that I still think that, like I use my example, right? I still think that as a man, you should be going, if you're in a relationship or in a marriage, right? I still think you should be the one to, little things, take out the trash, mow the lawn, gas up the cars, maybe get the cars washed, certain things to kind of the external things around the house. Make sure that, the maintenance is taken care of around the house and stuff. You know what I mean? But then the internal things would be like the woman, right? Make sure the house look like, make it look like a home. The cleaning, the majority of the heavy lifting of the cleaning part, right? The women are very particular how they like things clean. That's not saying the man can't help with something, but they very particular, right? I don't blame them. But, maybe when it comes to if y'all do have kids, maybe taking more to lead on that as far as the upkeep of the kids, right? Not the the overall progression of the kid's life. That's something y'all do together, but the upkeep of the kids, right? So, but again, it's just finding y'all's who was what y'all comfortable with, right? Working together when it comes to the relationship. So again, I thought that he did a great job of at least giving a snapshot or an example of a good relationship as far as what works for them. And that can kind of give people an idea on what a real marriage look like in a healthy way and what a positive relationship could look like to help people who are in a relationship to say, hey, if we get married, what's an example we can look at that we can learn from to be able to go into that next stage of life when it comes to marriage and, you know, beyond that. So, and hopefully I was able to, you know, put my little 10 cents in to kind of give y'all a snapshot as well on a healthy marriage. So, but with that, like I said, shout out to the content creator. He brought a lot of great value. If you think he did, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video out for anybody who needs to hear his message. Because again, when I say share these videos out, listen, there's somebody out there who needs to see this particular message. There's a lot of people who are in the relationships and they need some guidance as far as, man, what's that next step look like? What's something I should be working on? How can I hear from another man who actually doing it? You follow me? So this is why I be like, man, share these videos out because somebody need to hear this message. But anyway, with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.